What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Wild Alaska channel. Today's video is a little bit different. It's not one that I really expected to film today or wasn't even on the radar, but it is what it is. And probably from seeing the thumbnail, you already know what it's about. And it's about what's in this bag. Not a purchase I meant to make, but it's a purchase I did make. Why? Well, one reason is I'm noticing as I'm doing this channel, I'm needing more and more camera angles. I need, of course, the one facing straight to me. I got one here, maybe to the right. I got one above me, or maybe one to the left. So I need more camera angles. Right now I'm filming with the R5 and a couple other cameras, even the iPhone's action cams, things like that. But the DSLR cameras are going to take a lot better video. For when I first was doing, I was using action cams, not using the DSLRs or the mirrorless cameras. And you can tell the difference in the footage, even today. You know, trying to get a little better for the channel. That's the first thing. And in the field, I was needing a third camera too for different reasons, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But the second reason is one of the bigger ones, and one of the main reasons why I did this, and you know, I'll show you real quick. So I'll show you my R7 real quick and tell you something about it. There's my R7. Why does my R7 look like this? Well, it's dead. I don't know why it's dead. I don't know what's broke with it. It has been sent off to Canon right now to find out what's wrong with it. So once that comes back, or Canon here in a week or two tells me what's wrong with the R7, and I'll make a video on how I broke my R7 and tell you why and all that fun stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna set my R7 off over here again, off here, and we'll just let it sit over there. So that leads me to another thing about it, and it's these guys right here, Stuart's Photo here in Anchorage. They have done a phenomenal job taking care of me and other creators here, or other photographers here in Anchorage. And when I brought my dead R7 in to see them, no, not a problem. They said, hey, not a problem, we'll send it. And they're the ones sending it off to Canon for me. I don't have to do anything. Great, superb service. These guys are awesome. So I brought it in and said, hey, it's not powering up, it's not booting up. They didn't even look at it, just knew I had tested everything with a good battery and other things, turn it on and off, take the battery out for 10-15 seconds, let it sit. Nothing, it won't boot up. So they took it and they are shipping it off to Canon for me. So these guys are great. I can't talk enough about them. So, and then just get it out of the bag here, because another funny thing is, you notice what this says on the bottom of it. You know, going this way, sorry. Everything's backwards in the camera. It says Nikon on it. So it's just kind of funny. Every time I go buy something from Canon, I have to take it home in a Nikon bag. So it just kind of comes for me. So anyway, yeah, so I picked up the EOS R10. Why the R10? Why not a different camera? Because mainly it's going to be mostly video. It will probably be at other times. It will be in the field. Why the R10? Again, why the R10? The R5 would have been the thing I'd love to purchase again, but I didn't feel like spending $4,000 because that camera went up to like $3,800 and change now. So I didn't want to spend $4,000. Why didn't I get another R7? Well, I can't find an R7. I found a couple on big box stores. But I really tried again, buy from my local camera store if I can, and get them. And they had 2 or 3 of these R10s in. I think they had one with the body and a couple with the kit lenses. And it is really close to the R7. The only difference in the R10 versus the R7 is really going to be no IBIS in the body. I'll talk about that here in a minute. We'll go through the pros and cons of this camera before I even use it, because it's still sitting in the box. You know, the shutter doesn't shut when you turn it off, so you have to be real careful when you turn it off. Make sure you hold it upside down and put the lenses on. And it doesn't record as high as video as what the R7 and the R5 does, but I don't record that crazy 4K fine. I begged anybody to tell me a difference in a 4K fine like I shot in the last video versus what I'm doing now, 4K 24. Really, on YouTube, you can't tell the difference. You just can't. Unless you're playing on a massive big TV, you're streaming 4K to your TV and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so it's not going to affect me. And another thing is, it's $1,500 versus $1,000 for the R5, R7 versus R5. And again, I want to buy a local, not big box company, and I have to wait, and I hate to wait. I hate to wait. So by saving that amount of money, I could make another purchase, which was the Canon RF 16 millimeter 2.8 lens. And why a 16 millimeter? Well, one is to pair with this camera. And the second thing is for astro, for aurora. I do shoot the aurora from time to time. So I'll tell you what, guys, aurora's not wildlife, but it's Alaskan. Channel is called Wild Alaska, I guess. If you guys want to see aurora content, you want to go out and shoot aurora video, leave me comments in this video. I'll tell you what, if I get 50 comments in the video that say, hey, go shoot the aurora, I'll work on getting an aurora video. The reason why I really don't do those is you may make 5 or 6 trips out in the field to get the aurora that day and you get nothing. And also if you go more north, like 3 to 5 hours north of here more, you can get better aurora than you can right here by Anchorage. You can get aurora here in Anchorage, but it's got to be a phenomenal show for it to really get above your head. And most times you're shooting out, 40, 50 degrees in front of you. But anyway, 50 comments in there about aurora, and I'll make a concerted effort to go get an aurora video for you. And I may take a couple guys out with me that shoot aurora and get their thoughts and opinions, because I'm not the best at it, but it is what it is. Anyway, so by saving money on this camera versus the R7, I could pick this up. It's only $300. So, all right, off to the side. What other reasons would I picked up the R10 versus the R7? It will also be a good loaner camera. So when I have family and friends up, or if there's somebody who has a workshop, or another photographer comes into town, which happens from time to time, I can let them use this R10 and not worry about getting my R7 and the R5. So I still have 2 cameras to work with in the field, and they have a camera. That when my uncle's up here recently, I was one camera, he had one camera. Most times he was shooting the R7, most of them I was shooting the R5. With this, I could, got that third camera still available to do whatever, and could have had it that way. But really, it's just due to I needed a third camera. And back to Dead R7 is if I hadn't picked up this camera, I'd be down to one camera, the R5 I'm filming with right now. And that really bites, because I'm in the field, I need to record myself, and this thing should be really light and easy to do the little talking head stuff a little easier than the R5 or the R7. And so now I'm back to 2 cameras again. Now this one can't get wet because it's not weather sealed, so I've got to be real careful with it. And I've got a video coming up soon about weather sealing on both cameras, the R5 and the R7. I'm never going to test this for weather sealing because I don't have any. But also, when I get my R7 back from Canon, then I can, in December tell you what's coming up. And October and November is when late September is when our moose go into rut. So they've all dropped their velvet on their antlers. So there's something we chase right now. And then late November through Christmas is when the Dall sheep start mingling back up. The rams and the ewes start going back into rut. And they come really close or easier to find in that time of year. After December, then what I'll do is I'll be sending the R5 off to Canon to have it cleaned. So again, now I don't have just the R7, I have the R7 plus the R10, so I do have 2 cameras to keep working and doing this type of content, and that's doing stuff that I enjoy to do for myself, just going out and taking pictures. So without further ado, that's the main reasons why I picked up this R10. Let's go ahead and open her up, unbox her, and see what we got. So this is the R10. Let's get her opened. All right. On here, we got the obligatory instructions, the manuals. Let's go over here. We've got our battery and our charger. So charger over here. We've got the strap. The strap says R10 on it, which they go for collector's items for me, but what they do is they go in the trash. Almost hit my Telecaster there. Not good. All right, the last best part of this is the body. And there's the body. Let me get rid of all this stuff. Back over here out of the way. Here. And like I said, this one takes a different battery. It takes a smaller, older battery that, I think the RP uses it too, and some of the older DSLRs, I think the 90D and stuff, take this size battery. Don't know what model it is, but I need to pick up a couple more. Now that we got it unboxed, I'll tell you what, it is a lot smaller than the R7 and the R5. It is smaller this direction, and it is also smaller this direction, and not as tall either. I compared it to the R7. It's not going to work. All right. Let's see, what is the difference on this one, the R7 versus the R10? Like I said, it is smaller, variable touch screen. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think the R5, I don't know if the R7, because it's sitting right here, I can't tell what the battery, this variable angle looks like, but it's got a little bit of a catch here on the end of this thing here. Of course, I'm wearing black. This camera's black. It was a bad choice on my part. But it's got a couple of tabs here, so this thing kind of catches, so you can hear it snap. There, so that's pretty cool. The battery is same place on the bottom, but the difference is the SD card, which I already put one in here, is, well, I was between cuts, put the battery in too, and it sits right here in the bottom instead of having the side door, which saves room too. Has the same dial like the R7 on top. It only has C1 and C2. Doesn't have C1, 2, and 3, but that's fine. Again, this is mainly going to be video. The dials has the same place where the shutter dial is, what I use on both cameras, the R7 and the R5. R7 a little closer. I just point to it. There was one. R7 dead. There's a difference here. It has the top dial like the R5 has, that the R7 has a little wheel back here in the back. This one has on the top, so that's nice. So I can set my shutter here, my ISOs. So the R10 and the R5 will work a lot the same. Again, as you saw before with aperture, I don't care where aperture is mapped. I can map it to the control ring on the camera if I want. I think this one does control ring, or yeah, you can set this to control ring. And so if I have an RF lens, I can use a control ring. My adapter for my EFs does not have the control ring adapter, so it would be stuck there. But normally I just hit the button, the Q button, set my aperture, because usually when I'm on an animal, I'm shooting wide open most of the time if I can. So I'm shooting f4. If I need a little more wide, I'm shooting f8, f9. I usually don't shoot much above that. Unless I'm doing something silly with, I got a Sunstar, I may go to f16, but yeah, I mean, I set my aperture, usually leave it where it is, and I just set my shutter speed for the type of speed my animal is, and I just run my ISO from there. So I need to do a video about how to shoot manual. Quick rant real quick. I've seen several, or a couple, photography channels and saying, oh, here's how you shoot wildlife, and one of them is a several million subscriber channel. The first thing they say is, put in TV shutter priority mode, and then I just stopped watching the video. You should be shooting manual if you're shooting wildlife. You should know what your shutter speeds are for your different types of birds and animals, and set your aperture wherever you want to be for whatever type of focal plane, how deep the field you want your focal plane to be, and then just work your ISO from there. If you're in really bright conditions, you'll have to tweak it a little bit more. Really dark conditions are same way. You may have to lower your shutter speed from what you want, but again, you got a moose. You can shoot, if you're shooting a 500 millimeters, you can shoot 1/500th or even 1/250th and break the rule and shoot wide open and use your ISO to get it as low as you can. But with modern mirrorless, through the EVF, you can see all your exposure. So, there's no excuse for not shooting manual. Once you get those, whatever you see in this here is what your exposure is. And you put a histogram in there and you can watch your histogram. And whenever you shoot the manual video, we'll talk about histograms if you're clipping your whites or your darks. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. If I can do it, you can do it. Believe me. So back to the camera. Like I said, got the dial on top. You've got a joystick on the back, the same as the other one, the menu button, the play button. There is no trash. It's on the D-pad. We'll go through all this when I'll do a full setup video in this one. So yeah, guys, by buying this over the R5, because the R5 is $4,000 and the R7 is $1,500, and I couldn't find one locally. By picking this up, I could also pick up the 16mm lens. This guy here, the RF 16mm for Astro and for Vlog, and I got to quit banging this table because it's probably pretty loud to you guys. But I could pick these two up for still cheaper than I could pick up just the R7. I'd love to have just had the R7 since the R10, but I can't find one, don't want to wait on one, and I could pick up a lens with this also, and it's going to serve everything that I want this camera to do for me. It'd be great to have 3 R5s, but you know, it's $12,000, guys. I mean, you know, that's another lens for a big white or several other lenses. But this camera is basically the R7 with a few cripple hammers. One is it's not weather sealed. Two, no IBIS in the body. But people ask, why are you worried about the IBIS not being in this body? Well, no. With all our DSLRs, the 5D Mark IV, the 7D Mark II, the 1DX series, things like that, they didn't have IBIS in the body either. And this guy over here, my 500 f4, has stabilization in the lens, which is about the same as those other cameras. My 7200 and my 100 to 500 both. Those are the main 3 lenses I use most of the time for wildlife. They all 3 have, you know, image stabilization. So with this camera, that it will be perfectly fine if I need to use it in the field, shooting animals or doing video for that type of stuff. So no, I'm not worried about it. And here in the studio, it's sitting on a tripod, so I don't worry about shake unless we have an earthquake, which happens in Alaska a lot. If you're doing recording, it won't shoot 4K fine. Big whoop. You can shoot 4K 60 in crop mode, but again, I'm shooting 4K 24, sometimes 4K 60, or 1080 120 frames a second for slow-mo, which this camera will do all that. So it's pretty much good. So, because remember, this is, once I get this guy back, this will be the 3rd camera in the line. It will sit and do, you know, things like, you know, what's going to be really nice to do is when it's so light and small. Let me put this lens on here to show you. I'm trying to remember to hold this upside down. There's my red mark. The only thing about these other lenses, the red mark's hard to find. Do like that. So if I'm shooting talking head stuff, this thing is super, super light. I can, you know, hold it at arm's length or put it on. Whoa, that could have been bad. Maybe another one send it back to Canon. But it'll be really good just to, you know, do any type of talking head stuff. You know, I've got it on a you know, monopod stick, tripod, whatever, just holding it. But holding it alone is super, super light. So it's going to be really nice for that, to be able to take this out and keep this all set up all the time. Because normally what I have to do with the R7 and the R5, if I'm out, I need to record a talking head video, I have to take the lens off, put the 14 to 35, which is what I'm filming with right now, or the 16mm on it, to get my talking head with the camera. And now I won't have to do that. I can just toss this in the body with the 16mm. It's so light, probably the lightest rig I've ever picked up, besides a little point and shoot. But it will do all that. So for $900, well, of course, adding this, even with a 16mm, with this ticket was like $1,200. I mean, it's sort of just money, yes, and it's not money I didn't want to have to spend, but it's suiting the need, what I need for the 3rd camera or for the 2nd camera when stuff like this happens. Dead, dead, dead. I'm really curious to find out what happened to the R7. It's got 24 megapixels instead of 32, like the R7, and 45 for that one. People ask, are you worried about that? No, I'm not worried about it, because I'm not going to use this to be cropping into images. There's a reason I don't own the R3. Now, the R3 was phenomenal. It took great pictures. It probably the best feeling camera in the hand, fast autofocus, hit everything instantly where I pointed it. I hit it and it went to it. And it drove the motors on that 504, drove them both, you know, faster than any other camera here. And that was great. Problem was when I had a pika that was really small in the frame, or a bird, a Tweety bird, it was too small in the frame. I couldn't crop in. I go about 20-30% crop before it started getting, you know, pixelated and mushy. With that R5, I can crop 50% or 60% into that image and still have a lot of detail left and still be good quality. But when you got these smaller 20 to 24 megapixel cameras, you can't crop in very much. And so this would be relegated to filling up the frame with a duck, an eagle, moose, a bear, things like that. It wouldn't be shooting small Tweety birds in a tree unless I can get good close. But with the 500, I've got 800mm, I can probably get pretty close. So that part doesn't bother me. Well, guys, that is the Canon R10 and the reasons why I picked it up. It's not a camera that I expected to even pick up or purchase, just due to the different things that I'd kind of, you know, it was less, and I didn't really know I needed a 3rd camera. I kind of thought I did for some reasons, but as I lost the R7, I knew I needed a 2nd camera to keep moving, to keep this channel moving, and keep my what I'm doing moving. and that's why I picked it up. All those reasons I discussed earlier. More videos to come out on this R10, you know, about what's the low light like, what's the autofocus like, you know, those type things, and how does it work in the field, what I'm noticing about it, or if I do notice something different from the R7 versus this, it should be about the same. And if you see something that, or you know something that you want to hear about, or you want to know about with the R10, just leave me comments. I'm also going to cover the full setup on the camera here pretty soon. Also about the Aurora, 50 comments in the comment section below on this video saying, hey, I'd love to see the Aurora, go out and shoot the Aurora, quit worrying about it being cold, go out and shoot the Aurora, because at times shooting the Aurora, especially December and January, if I've got to go north, it could be -20, -50. I'm not looking forward to that. Here in Anchorage, we may get to 0, we may get to negative, but it's only a couple days out of the year. Most times it's 20s and 30s with no wind. That's not bad. But anyway, if I get another 50 in there, I'll go work on a dedicated Aurora video. That's pretty much it. Until next time, guys, stay safe, go outside, run the shutter on your camera. Leave me some comments, tell me what you'd love to see. Make sure to go vote on the next video that I'm going to start recording up besides these and the bear video, which I got to get the bear video done. And talk to you then. Take care.